The Galactic Council's execution fleet surrounded the refugee transport like vultures circling carrion. 10,000 defective beings huddled inside the Last Hope, their final moments ticking away as plasma cannons charged for the killing blow. The ship's hull groaned under the weight of despair. Mothers clutching children marked for death, scientists condemned for asking the wrong questions, artists executed for creating beauty instead of propaganda. Then Earth's warships materialized from hyperspace. 12 human dreadnoughts, their hulls scarred from a dozen forgotten wars, positioned themselves between the executioners and their prey. Admiral Sarah Johnson's voice cut through the calm static with steel-cold authority. "Counselor Vexmar, stand down. These beings are under our protection now." The Galactic Council's executioner, a towering figure whose species had perfected the art of systematic genocide, let his mandibles click in amusement. "Admiral Johnson, you're interfering with a lawful cleansing operation. These creatures are genetic deviants, philosophical terrorists, enemies of galactic stability. They're refugees," Johnson replied, "and Earth doesn't abandon those who need us." Inside the transport, Dr. Zektorov pressed her scaled hands against the viewport, hardly daring to believe. For 3 years, she had run from the death sentence imposed for her greatest crime, refusing to weaponize her medical research. The Saurian hegemony had demanded she create a plague to sterilize their enemies. Instead, she had developed a cure for the galaxy's most devastating diseases. Her reward? Exile and a death warrant. Engineer Crix, his cybernetic implants sparking with nervous energy, had monitored the human transmissions with growing amazement. His own people, the Nexarian Collective, had cast him out for developing defective technology, cybernetics designed for peace instead of war, for healing instead of controlling. The Collective deemed such inventions evolutionary pollution and sentenced him to death. In the transport's medical bay, 9-year-old Lisa clutched a tattered stuffed animal, the last remnant of her homeworld. The Galactic Council had branded her entire species genetically impure for their enhanced cognitive abilities and natural empathy. Their world had been sterilized 6 months ago. She was the only survivor, kept alive only to study before disposal. 10,000 stories of genius punished, creativity condemned, compassion criminalized. Counselor Vexmar's patience evaporated. "Admiral, you have 60 seconds to withdraw before we classify your vessels as terrorist collaborators." "Negative, Counselor." Johnson's voice carried the weight of absolute conviction. "Earth's position is clear. We don't negotiate with executioners." The standoff stretched across space, 2 philosophies colliding at the edge of Sol System. One side saw deviation as disease to be eradicated. The other saw diversity as strength to be protected. Vexmar's fleet numbered 300 ships, each armed with planet-cracking weapons. Earth's 12 dreadnoughts were hopelessly outgunned. The mathematics were simple. Humanity would die for these outcasts. "You've just declared war on the galaxy," Vexmar hissed. Admiral Johnson smiled grimly as Earth's defense grid powered up across the solar system. "Then the galaxy better be ready. The first shots will be fired within hours." But in the transport Last Hope, 10,000 condemned beings felt something they hadn't experienced in years. Hope itself. Earth had come for them. Humanity had chosen to stand between the innocent and their executioners, regardless of the cost. The galaxy was about to learn that some lines should never be crossed, and humanity's protection of the defenseless was one of them. Across Earth's communication networks, the message went out to every human colony, every defense station, every ship. Prepare for total war. We have refugees to protect. The die was cast. Earth had chosen compassion over survival, and the universe would never be the same. 6 months after the standoff at Sol's Edge, Earth was dying by degrees. The Galactic Council's response had been swift and merciless. Total economic embargo. Every trade route severed. Every diplomatic tie cut. Earth's colonies in the outer systems have been seized for harboring genetic criminals. Their populations relocated to rehabilitation centers that no one expected to see again. President Chin stared at the holographic displays surrounding her desk. Unemployment at 40%, food shortages in the outer districts, medical supplies running critically low. The refugees had brought knowledge, yes, but knowledge couldn't feed 8 billion humans overnight. "Madam President, Her aide's voice cracked with exhaustion. The Australian Federation is requesting emergency session. They're considering the Council's offer. Chen's jaw tightened. The offer: surrender the refugees in exchange for resumed trade. Some called it mercy. Shun called it extortion. In New Geneva, Dr. Zectora worked 18-hour shifts in the medical center, her scaled hands steady despite her exhaustion. Her revolutionary treatments had already saved 12,000 human lives. Diseases a galaxy considered incurable were yielding the techniques she developed in exile. But watching human children suffer from preventable illnesses because of medication shortages was a torture worse than her death sentence. Doctor, her human partner Sarah Martinez whispered, the protesters outside, they're not all supporting us anymore. Through the window, Zectora could see the divided crowds. Earth stands with refugees' banners competed with Feed Humans First signs. Fear was eating away at compassion, one empty stomach at a time. In Detroit's engineering district, Crix had achieved the impossible. His defective cybernetics interfaced perfectly with human neural patterns, creating a breakthrough that revolutionized human-AI cooperation. But the technology required rare elements that Earth could no longer import. His workshop, once buzzing with activity, now sat half empty. The irony is perfect, he muttered to his human partner Marcus Thompson. I create the greatest advancement in cybernetic history, and we can't build it because the galaxy won't sell us copper. Young Lisa, now living with the Morrison family on their Montana farm, had transformed their agricultural yield by 300% using techniques from her lost homeworld. But as she watched the news feeds showing hungry children in Earth cities, her enhanced empathy became a burden that kept her awake at night. The Galactic Council's propaganda machine worked overtime. Earth harbors terrorists. Genetic deviance threaten galactic stability. Humanity's reckless compassion endangers all civilized species. Every day brought new horror stories of what these defective beings might do if allowed to spread their influence. Then came the ultimatum that changed everything. Supreme Chancellor Corix's face filled every screen across human space, his reptilian features cold with authority. People of Earth, your leader's stubbornness has cost you dearly, but the Galactic Council is merciful. Surrender all genetic deviants and philosophical criminals within 72 hours, and normal relations will resume. Refuse and face the consequences of harboring enemies of galactic peace. Behind him, the largest military fleet in galactic history assembled. 50,000 warships representing every major civilization. The message was clear: submission or extinction. President Chen's response went out to every human settlement, every colony, every ship. To our friends across the stars who face persecution, you have our word. Earth will never abandon you. To those who would force us to betray the innocent, you have our answer. The countdown began. 72 hours until the galaxy's ultimatum expired. In refugee centers across Earth, 10,000 beings who had already lost everything prepared to witness humanity lose everything for them. The price of compassion was about to be paid in full. The largest military armada in galactic history descended on Sol System like a steel avalanche. 50,000 warships darkened space from Mercury to Pluto, dreadnoughts the size of cities, carrier vessels launching endless fighter swarms, planet-killer weapons that could crack worlds like eggs. Against them stood Earth's meager fleet. 5,000 ships, most converted civilian vessels crewed by volunteers. Supreme Chancellor Corix smiled from his flagship's bridge. Begin the cleansing. Show them the price of harboring genetic filth. The first wave struck Earth's outer defenses. What should have been obliteration became something impossible. Earth's ships moved like they shared a single mind. Perfect coordination, flawless timing, maneuvers that defied every tactical manual in the galaxy. In the command center, Engineer Crix's cybernetic network linked every human ship into one vast organism. His defective technology created something unprecedented. True unity of thought and action. Impossible, Corix snarled as his lead battle group disintegrated under precisely coordinated fire. They're primitives. Dr. Zectora's voice crackled across all channels from Earth's medical stations. Attention galactic forces. Your bioweapons are useless. I've immunized every human against your plague bombs. Her forbidden research. The cure she died to protect now shielded 8 billion lives. The Galactic fleet pressed forward, confident that overwhelming numbers would prevail. Then young Lisa's tactical genius revealed itself. From her command post, she didn't just predict enemy movements. She orchestrated Earth's response like a master conductor. Her people hadn't been destroyed for genetic impurity. They'd been exterminated because they were military geniuses who could revolutionize warfare. Fleet Admiral Zhang. Lisa's young voice carried absolute authority. Enemy formation Tango 7 will attempt flanking maneuver in 43 seconds. Redirect battle groups 4 and 9 to intercept. Impossible. She was predicting movements before enemy commanders made decisions. The tide turned in minutes. Galactic dreadnoughts, built to intimidate through size, proved sluggish against Earth's enhanced coordination. Fighter swarms designed to overwhelm individual targets met precisely timed defensive screens that turned their numbers into liabilities. But the true revelation came when the refugees aboard Earth's ships began broadcasting. Dr. Zektora's voice reached across the galaxy. I was condemned to death for developing a cure that could save billions. Instead of weapons, I chose healing. Crix's transmission followed. My cybernetics were called defective because they fostered cooperation instead of control. Lisa's young voice was last. My entire species died because we believed in peace through understanding rather than conquest through fear. The broadcast sparked something unprecedented. Rebellion within the Galactic fleet itself. Ship after ship broke formation as crews realized they were fighting to kill their greatest healers, inventors, and philosophers. The galaxy had exiled genius and called it genetic deviation. Chancellor Orcs watched his armada fragment before his eyes. 15 species turned their guns on his flagship, their commanders declaring for Earth. His own officers, beings who had followed him for decades, looked at him with newfound disgust. You made us into monsters, his second-in-command whispered before firing the shot that ended Orcs' tyranny. The battle lasted 6 hours. When the smoke cleared, 48,000 galactic ships floated as debris or had joined Earth's growing fleet. The mighty galactic military, terror of 1,000 worlds, lay shattered by defective outcasts and the humans who believed in them. Admiral Johnson's transmission reached every world in the galaxy. This is Earth. We offer sanctuary to all who face persecution for their beliefs, their differences, or their dreams. No one will be abandoned again. The galaxy's age of persecution had ended in a single day. 1 year after the Battle of Sol, the galaxy was unrecognizable. Earth had become the unofficial capital of a transformed civilization. The former Galactic Council chambers on Nexus Prime stood empty, replaced by the new Geneva Accords, a revolutionary charter guaranteeing rights for all sentient beings regardless of genetic purity or philosophical alignment. President Chin stood before representatives from 800 species, many appearing in galactic politics for the first time. Today we recognize what Earth has always believed, she declared. Diversity is not deviation. Difference is not defect. Genius comes in forms we never expected. The changes ripple across every world. Species previously branded genetically impure for their enhanced empathy now led interspecies diplomacy councils. Civilizations exiled for philosophical terrorism, the crime of questioning authority, returned to rebuild their homeworlds with Earth support. Dr. Zektora had become the galaxy's chief medical officer, her forbidden research now saving billions of lives annually. The plagues that had ravaged Outer Rim worlds for centuries yielded the treatments she developed in her years of exile. In the medical bays of New Geneva, she trained healers from 200 species in techniques the old council had tried to destroy. Funny, she mused to her human colleague Sarah Martinez. They call my work defective because I refuse to weaponize healing. Now it's the foundation of galactic medicine. Engineer Crix's cybernetics had revolutionized interspecies cooperation. His peaceful technology, once condemned as evolutionary pollution, now connected the minds of different species in unprecedented harmony. The galaxy's first truly integrated fleet patrolled space, not to conquer, but to protect the vulnerable from any who would return to the old ways. Young Lisa, now 12 but with the strategic mind of Master General, had helped design the Galactic Protection Protocol. Never again would entire species face extinction for being different. Her enhanced empathy, once marked for termination, had become a moral compass guiding galactic policy. The transformation went beyond politics. Art flourished as creators no longer feared execution for challenging orthodox thought. Science advanced centuries and months as suppressed minds shared forbidden knowledge. The galaxy's first interspecies university opened on Earth, teaching subjects that had been capital crimes under the old regime. But perhaps the most profound change was philosophical. The Morrison family's farm in Montana had become a pilgrimage site, not for any grand monument, but for what it represented. A simple human family that had chosen to love an alien child marked for death. Thousands came daily to see where compassion had taken root. Earth's refugee centers processed new arrivals every day. Word had spread to the furthest reaches of space. There was a world where the persecuted found safety, where the different were celebrated, where no one was abandoned. In the memorial garden outside New Geneva, 10,000 names were carved in stone, beings who had died before Earth could save them. Below the names, one inscription captured the new galactic creed. They cast them out, but Earth took them in. In saving condemned, humanity saved us all. Admiral Johnson, now overseeing galactic peacekeeping operations, often visited the memorial, the weight of those who couldn't be saved balanced against the billions who now live free. The galaxy had learned its greatest lesson. Those society rejects often carry the seeds of its salvation. Earth had proved that sometimes the most radical act is simply refusing to give up on others. In a universe that had worshipped conformity, diversity had finally found its voice, and that voice was calling for others to come home.